I'm Ramesh from C Success Center. Okay, I think many of you may not know Seam, so I'm going to spend just only a minute or two on giving you a brief introduction about Seam, and then I'll talk about the 3D printing. I'm going to focus on the design requirements. I think Jonathan mentioned about you need a totally different way of thinking. Yeah, I'm going to just give some pointers here. You need a different way of thinking for 3D printing. And then I'm going to talk about our build process, what we have, and also some of the validation techniques which are very critical for 3D printing. And then finally I'll finish off what we can offer for manufacturing industries in Ireland. Okay, SEAM stands for Southeastern Applied Materials. As the name suggests, we are a material science and engineering research center, and we belong to the School of Engineering from WIT in Waterford, a very nice city. But I won't call it sunny Southeast because in the last 2 months, the amount of rain we had, it is as well in maybe Letterkenny as well. Yeah. Anyway, our center was launched in February 2009, and we are part of the EA Technology Gateway Network, which is a nationwide research for industries based in IoTs, delivering solutions to near market problems. There are altogether 15 gateway centers in Ireland. Of course, they're all in different areas. Okay, what we do is that we provide unique world-class professional services to industries in terms of delivering innovative materials and solutions. Of course, our objective is to create value-added competitiveness using the latest technologies to deliver real solutions for real problems. The reason I call unique is that some of the technologies what we have is unique for an academic center in Ireland. We are the CT scan experts in Ireland. We have 2 big CT scanners. Through CT scanners, we do non-destructive 3D analysis of materials and components. We do product design optimization through overlaying the scanned CD data with the original data. And of course, we do metrology solutions. And then we do a lot of finite urban modeling. What is unique about that is we have a commercial license to do SEA work. And then nearly 50% of our work are failure analysis on product components, and then provide our bespoke solutions for customer-specific issues. And then now we are getting into 3D metal additive manufacturing, so we are doing for the last 1.5 years here. So we help over 110 companies in Ireland, spread across all over. Nearly 40% of our clients are in medical devices, and then 30% are in precision engineering, and the rest forms other sector. So in terms of accomplishment, we have executed over 900 direct funded industrial projects since 2009, and as a result of that, last year we were awarded the KTA award for our industrial work. Okay, now coming into 3D additive, right? As Jonathan mentioned, additive manufacturing refers to a process by which digital 3D design data is used to build up the component layers in the possible material. But now the 3D printing is increasingly used as a synonym for additive manufacturing. So in terms of principle, just very briefly that, I think you might know this, but I thought I can include this. So DMLS process, what we have here, which is EOS M280 system, uses laser to fuse metal powders into a mass that has a desired 3-dimensional shape. But the laser selectively fuses the metal powder by scanning cross-sections generated from a 3D CAD or XMT. One of the advantages in SEAM is that we have X-ray tomography, so if you don't have a CAD, we can try to generate that data and then use as an input for the laser printing. After each cross-section is scanned, the powder is lowered by one layer and a new material later, and a new layer of material is applied on top, and the process is repeated. And again, again, Jonathan just pointed out this one, right? In terms of conventional versus additive manufacturing, in conventional process, you take a chunk of material and then you machine it, and then you make your product. As a result, there's a lot of scrap or waste. Whereas in the case of the material, in the case of AM, you start from the base powder, layer deposit, and you build a product, right? So the wastage is almost minimum. So the advantages, of course, one of the key advantages of AM is designing the complex components without adding cost limitations, skip investment in manufacturing tools, change designs without cancel, short time to market, and then the disrupting the supply chain is one of the key advantages of AM. So now the design process, this is what I want to just spend a minute or two, or maybe 2 or 3 minutes on this, right? Additive manufacturing technologies offer high degree of freedom in design, as Jonathan pointed out this earlier, right? This is the very important part, is that now in AM process, the complexity of the part has got a very little effect or even no impact on the manufacturing cost. How this added value is achieved depends on the application. For example, it could be a light-weight design through topology optimization, or a performance enhancement method through a function-oriented shape, or the integration of functions in a single structure. One of the things now, I see there are 3 design challenges here, what I think in AM, or for the young engineers. one of the important thing is that no, the engineer needs to identify those parts of a conventional design that will bring the most benefit when you're doing the redesigning aspect of it. Needs to break with the rules of conventional manufacturing to exploit the full advantages of additive manufacturing. Right? You need a totally different mindset for AM. Yeah? And then to incorporate this new approach into the process of designing the product component. Again, one of the things in the design thing is that now, as you know, is that for additive manufacturing, you have to build a support structure. You cannot build the product directly onto a build plate because of the heat transfer issues and the warping issues and so forth. Yeah. So what we call as a support structure. Support structures are built from the same material as the material you want to build. Yeah. And they are temporary metal supports built as a component is built to resist warping due to thermal and residual stresses or supporting delicate structures using a build and also to provide heat transfer. Yeah. Now, one of the things is that no, this support structure gets removed after building. Yeah. So some conservation of this support structure is important during the design process. Yeah. In fact, support structure itself is a huge area. Yeah. I just would like to point out a few things here when you're generating a support structure. Yeah. First of all, since the support structure gets removed, so whenever you're building a support structure, you need to make sure that the removability problem is there. Yeah. You need to build accordingly. Yeah. And then the heat transfer requirement, wherever the part requires heat transfer, you need to provide support structure. Yeah. And then the massive powder inclusions, yeah. When you're building support structure, maybe you need to identify if there's a powder get clogged in, and when you're doing the CNC machine, that can affect your machining as well. So like that, no, there are a few things like a delaminating risk and surface quality growing against recorder. And then, for example, if you see the point number 8, yeah, if you're building a structure like that, no, you need to build a kind of a high solidary support structure. Yeah. So these are the things which a design engineer should be aware of and should be careful in building the support structure. And then in terms of the angle structure, for example, if you want to build a kind of a cylinder which is a parallel, which require a build plate, for example, if you want to build a product which is parallel to the build plate, instead of building that, no, the engineer should think of, because this requires a support structure, yeah. Whereas if you build like kind of an angled surface, you can eliminate the support structure. So we should try to minimize the support structure when you're designing a product. Yeah. And then again, the part orientation, right? For example, if you are building a cylinder product, right, whether you are going to build it horizontally or vertically or angled surface, right, they all have impact on the part accuracy, cycle time, and you need to decide what is the correct support structure for any part. Yeah. Again, thinking about the additive design, it's very important to consider the function of the device and its physical and its critical design requirement and build on that foundation. Build a component around these requirements and add material as you need it to facilitate those functions. And finally, add constraints required like a support structure. So you should think from that angle. Yeah. So that's what I was telling you. I think the future engineers on additive manufacturing, they need a totally different mindset. Yeah. For example, just to give you an example, right, the earlier for the insert manufacture, it always used to be an assembly, yeah, where they used to have a single core and then water used to cooling cycle. Now you can replace that assembly using a kind of a helical cooling coil, yeah, and you will have a single part, yeah. And by doing that, now it reduces the cycle time and you get a superior product performance. The reason being you got a superior cooling performance, yeah. And then the other one aspect which I'd like to mention is that now the design optimization through CAD, FEA, and additive manufacturing is that now AM technologies provide great opportunities to reduce the weight of the components and streamline design. However, in the past, it's always over-engineered. The parts were over-engineered. Now under AM, it's a very good possibility of under-engineering. So the use of FEA modeling strategies can be used to mitigate this and ensure design robustness and quality. The component which is typically over-engineered, through AM technology, we can reduce the part by 30 parts and still maintain the same property what it had. In fact, we have built this part and the properties are exactly the same. Yeah. And we have used the FEA strategy for this. Okay, so that's all about the design part. So in terms of build process, what we have in-house is that it's a M280 system, and which is a 200-watt laser, ytterbium fiber laser. It can accept 3D AutoCAD files and STL files from our Excel tomography as well. We got a build volume of 250 by 250 by 300 meter height and ability to optimize material. At present, we can print managing steel, stainless steel, TI6Al, and nickel alloys. Yeah. So these are the 4 areas we have now been working on. And then of course the process sequence, as Jonathan has already pointed out, you start off with the CAD and then you prepare the data, set up the machine, build the process, and then do the post-processing and you get your product out. Yeah. In terms of, okay, we have got a very good powder characterizing facilities for incoming powders, and it's very important to have the post-processing. So we have a short peening thing, and then we do the what we call a white light interferometry. We check the surface roughness before and after. And then, of course, for some of the product, especially for titanium, you need the heat treatment because of the residual stresses. So we have the heat treatment furnace, gas-controlled furnace. Okay, and other thing is that now the validation technique, this is one of the key things, right? As Jonathan again pointed out, right, I mean, how sure, I mean, your product is good, and whether every layer has been sintered. One of the greatest advantage in seeing is that now we have this CT scanner. In fact, we have 2 CT scanners. Through that, actually, we can evaluate the product integrity, then metrology and nominal comparisons. Yeah. For example, we have 180 kV nano system for doing the low density metallic parts and also, of course, the polymer. And then we have the 300 kV system. This is unique in Ireland. We are the only one to have this system. Through this, we can analyze, of course, stainless steel and Inconel and so forth. Yeah. The key features of CT is the main important thing. It's a non-destructive. It can visualize the objects in 3 dimensions, and then once you do that, we can characterize the voids, warping, delaminations, coordinate measurements, and comparison. What I mean by nodular comparison is that, just to give you just an example, the top one is a CT scan. It's a scanned part, and the bottom one is a CAD model of the same part. Yeah. So once you do the CT, you can overlay the part of the CT part with the original CAD file, and you can visually see the variances here. All the green areas are bang in the middle of the spec, and blue areas are below spec, and the red regions are above spec. So you can visually see the variances between the finished product to the original CAD. Other techniques which we use for validation is that, of course, we have a scanning electron microscopy with ADS attachment. We have white light interferometry. Then we are very good in doing microstructuring and optical parametry. And optical microscopy if you want to find out any particular inclusions or anything like that. And then we have all the mechanical properties like Instron and hardness testers and so forth. Yeah. Okay, what we are currently offering is that we offer the full design to prototyping service in the 3D metal printing. Yeah. We can develop the concept. We have excellent engineers in-house, and then we do Catalan model. Of course, FEA is our strength. We have done a lot of innovation partnership projects with the FEA, and of course we have CT scanner, and then we can build the parts, and then do post-processing, and then we can verify the parts and